Okay, so we're going to do the end of Hansen and Quinn Unit 7. We're going to talk about conditional relative sentences and adverbs that end in os. And we're going to go over some drills and a few of the exercises as well. So first, conditional relatives. You should already know this chart of conditional sentences. We did this a couple units ago, but let's take a quick look. Future more vivid conditional sentences, you'll remember, have aeon plus the subjunctive in their protasis, future indicative in their apodosis. Present generals look the same in the protasis, but have a present indicative in their apodosis. Future less vivid, those should, would conditions, have a plus the optative in their protasis, optative plus on in their apodosis. Whereas past generals have a plus the optative in their protasis and an imperfect indicative in their apodosis. Present contrafactuals have a plus the imperfect indicative in their protasis, imperfect indicative plus on in their apodosis. Past contrafactuals have a plus the aorist indicative in their protasis and the aorist indicative plus on in their apodosis. So take a look at this chart, and then we'll go to the chart of conditional relative sentences, and it's really just the same, except where the chart of regular conditional sentences has a, if. The conditional relative sentences have a relative pronoun. So look at the future more vivid. Now we have the relative pronoun, hos, he, hon, plus on, plus the subjunctive, instead of aeon plus the subjunctive. Same for present generals. For future less vivid, instead of a plus the optative in the protasis, we have a relative pronoun plus optative. Same for the past generals. Present contrafactual, instead of a plus the imperfect indicative, we have a relative pronoun plus the imperfect indicative. Past contrafactual, instead of a plus the aorist indicative, we have the relative pronoun plus the aorist indicative. But the apodices are exactly the same as they were in the other chart. Now let's get some practice translating some of these by looking at drill 5. The first one, honon pausosi foulatatai. All right, here's our relative clause. And you can see we have the relative pronoun plus on plus the subjunctive. So that's going to serve as our protasis. And then in the apodosis, we have a present indicative. So hon on plus the subjunctive and the present indicative, well, this is a present general relative conditional sentence. So how are we going to translate it? Well, whom they stop, he is being guarded. Whomever they stop is being guarded. Present general. Let's look at sentence number 2. It's actually almost exactly the same. Here's our relative clause. Here's our apodosis. The relative clause has the relative pronoun plus on plus the subjunctive. It's exactly like sentence 1, only now this, whose, is accusative masculine plural instead of singular. And this is present indicative passive third person plural instead of third person singular. So this one is, whomever they stop, they are being guarded. If they are stopping anyone, they are being guarded. Okay, whomever they stop are being guarded. Another present general. Let's look at number 3. Effulatata hon pauoien. So here's our relative clause, hon pauoien, and it's got a relative pronoun plus the optative. And then here's our verb of the apodosis. Notice they've reversed the order of the apodosis and the relative protasis. And this is an imperfect indicative. So this is, right, han plus the optative and the imperfect indicative past general. So whomever they were stopping was being guarded. Past general. Number 4. Hos pauoita uk an fulatoita. So here's our relative clause. Hos pauoita. So relative pronoun plus the optative. And then here's our apodosis, which has an optative plus on. So this is future less vivid. So, whoever should be being stopped would not be being guarded. Whoever should be being stopped would not be being guarded. How about number 5? All right. Es agoran penthesetai tadzoia ha'an me thuetai. So here's our relative clause, ha'an me thuetai. And that has subjunctive, present subjunctive plus on. And then here's our apodosis. That's our prodosis, our relative prodosis. And then here's our apodosis. And it has a future indicative passive. So it's ha'an plus the subjunctive and the future indicative. So it's future more vivid. I think tadzoia is the subject of this verb. So the animals will be sent into the agora. The animals which are not sacrificed. The animals which are not sacrificed will be sent into the agora. Let's look at the next 5. So number 6. Es agoran epempthe on tadzoia ha me etuthe. So here's our relative clause, ha me etuthe. And this has ha plus the aorist indicative passive. And here is our main clause, our apodosis, epemptheon, aorist indicative plus on. So ha plus the aorist indicative plus on. So that's got to be a past contrafactual. The animals which had not been sacrificed would have been sent into the agora. The animals which had not been sacrificed would have been sent into the agora. Let's take a look at number 7. Agathai haian tadikaya pratosin. This one's a little tricky. So here's our relative clause, high on pratosin. So it's high, relative pronoun, plus on, plus the subjunctive. So that could be future more vivid, or it could be present general. So let's look at the verb of the apodosis. But there isn't one. Okay, this is one of those, I think they call them nominal sentences, right? So it's like, I don't know. How about agathai hi, I guess, right? Good are the she-goats. Okay, it's a sentence that works like that, where instead of having the verb to be expressed, we just understand it. So agathai hi, I guess, good are the she-goats. Here, agathai hi anta dikaya pratosin. So I think we're going to call this a present general. Okay. So good are the women who do the just things. Good are the women who do the just things. The women who do just things are good. Okay, present general. Let's look at number 8. This is a very similar sentence. Kakai has hoi kakoi didaskaloi paideusen on. So there's our relative clause. It's got a relative pronoun plus the present subjunctive plus on. And then this, it's just a little trickier because now our relative pronoun isn't in the nominative, it's in the accusative. Okay? So evil are the women whom the bad teachers are teaching. Evil are the women whom the bad teachers are teaching. Present general. All right. How about number 9? Hus fulatoimen uk eluanta. So here's our relative clause, relative pronoun plus the present optative, active, and then an imperfect indicative. Okay, so that's a past general. So whom we were guarding were not being released. Maybe it sounds better if we say whomever, but whom we were guarding were not being released. If we were guarding them, they were not being released. Number 10. Hus efulatomen uk on eluanta. So here's the relative clause. And here's the apodosis. So here's the relative prodosis. Here's the apodosis. So it's a relative pronoun plus the imperfect indicative, then the imperfect indicative plus on. So this is a present contrafactual. So whom we are guarding are not being released. If we are guarding them, they are not being released. Present contrafactual. These are tricky to translate, I think. So let's look at some of the exercises that have these same ideas, just slightly longer sentences. Toi eleutheros hosantoi somati douleue. Allah kai sophos kai eleutheros huan hepsuke arche. So let's tackle the first clause before the semicolon first. Toi eleutheros hosantoi somate douleue. So here's our relative clause. Okay. And this sentence works like our, good are the she-goats sentence before. Okay. So hosantoi somate douleue. It's hosan plus the present subjunctive. So again, I think we have a present general conditional relative sentence here. So let's see. Who is a slave to his body is not free. Not free is he who is a slave to his body. Allah kai sophos kai eleutheros hu on hepsuke arche. So again, a very similar sentence. Relative pronoun plus on plus the subjunctive. Okay. But both wise and free is he whom his soul governs. Remember, arco, when it means to rule, takes a genitive. Okay? So, but both wise and free is he whose soul, wise and free is he whom his soul rules. Okay? Number 5. Hoian ente nesoi, lepontai, u luthesantai. So here's our relative clause. And it's got hoi plus on plus the subjunctive. That's a present subjunctive. And then a future indicative in the apodosis. So this has got to be a future more vivid. All right. So who are left on the island, who are abandoned on the island, will not be released. If they are abandoned on the island, they will not be released. They will not be released who are abandoned on the island. Future more vivid. Number 7. Eduleuon hoi enekene te oikia leifthean. So here's our relative clause. Hoi enekene te oikia leifthean. So it's hoi plus an aorist optative passive, third person plural. And then we have in the apodosis an imperfect indicative active, also third person plural. So what kind of a conditional sentence is this? Hoi plus the optative and an imperfect indicative, that's a past general. So they were being slaves who were abandoned in that house. Those who were abandoned in that house were being slaves. Number 9. Agathoste ho hegemon hosan eutate tus hoplitas. So there is our relative clause. Aneugar hegemonos uk eutatontai hoistratiotai. All right, so let's do this first sentence. Agathoste ho hegemon hos an eutate tus hoplitas. Here's another one of these sentences that has hos on plus the subjunctive and no verb expressed for the apodosis. So indeed, good is the leader who arranges his hoplites well. The leader who arranges his hoplites well is good. Okay, so that's a present general. Hosan plus the subjunctive. And now the second sentence. Aneugar hegemonos uk eutatontai hoistratiotai. For without a leader, the soldiers are not well arranged, are not well drawn up in order. Number 19. Aiskra an pratorte hoi tus tesoikias poemata me didascoista. Okay, this is another conditional relative sentence. So look and see if you can find the relative clause. There it is. And it's hoi plus the optative. And then the apodosis is there. Optative plus on. So hoi plus the optative, optative plus on, that's a future less vivid conditional relative sentence. So it's one of these should, would sentences. So y'all would be doing shameful things. Y'all who should, let's see, y'all who should, I think something's wrong here. I'm going to take a peek at my exercises and see if I typed something out wrong. Nope, it's fine. So what did I do wrong? So y'all would be doing shameful things. Y'all who, oh, I see. Y'all who, we have to take this together. Tous tes oikias, it's the guys of your household. Okay, so y'all would be doing shameful things. Who, and remember the middle, this is optative middle, second person plural, present optative middle. So y'all who do not cause the guys of your household to be taught poems would be doing shameful things. That is super, super tricky. So y'all who, change colors here, y'all who do not cause to be taught the guys of your household. So y'all who should not cause the guys of your household to be taught poems. Remember, didasco can take two accusatives. So y'all who should not be causing the guys of your household to be taught poems would be doing shameful things. Super tricky. Future less vivid. Number 20. A de la toi tatu polemu. Okay, so that, again, here's one of these nominal sentences. So, unclear, let me tell you, are tatu polemu, the stuff of war. Unclear, let me tell you, are the affairs of war. Thusomethaun peritonun. Okay, so this is an aorist subjunctive, and I think it's middle. Let us sacrifice then concerning tanun, right? The affairs now, things now, present affairs. So therefore, let us sacrifice concerning present affairs. Lusomen ten erenen eme. So here's another subjunctive, aorist subjunctive. I took this subjunctive, thusometha, as a hortatory subjunctive, but I'm going to take this one differently. See the question mark there? So I'm going to take this one as a deliberative subjunctive. Are we to destroy the peace? May or not. And now, peisimon tus politas tas oikias lipein. Well, this is an aorist optative plus on. So we're going to take that as a potential optative. For we could persuade tus politas, the citizens, to leave. That's the second aorist infinitive active of lepo, right? For we could persuade the citizens to leave their houses. So let's look at this sentence again. Uncertain, let me tell you, are the things of war. Now, hortatory subjunctive. So let's sacrifice about present affairs. And now, a deliberative subjunctive. Are we to destroy the peace or not? And now our potential optative, for we could persuade the citizens to leave their houses. Now adverbs in os. This is really easy. This is the most regular way that adjectives turn into adverbs. So if you have a nice adjective, Okay, like axios, axia, axion, or kakos, kake, kakon. Okay. Take the masculine genitive singular, axiu, kaku. Drop the ending and add os. So axios, kakos. Notice that if the adjective likes to be accented on its final syllable, that accent is a circumflex in the adverb ending in os. So axios, justly, kakos, badly. So let's do some exercises that have adverbs in os in them. Hast toi ton crusan eis gros eklepsen, Ekein on graphen klopes an agrapsatol hoi politai. So this looks like a conditional relative sentence. So here's our relative clause. Okay, and then this part is the apodosis. So let's see. We have hos and the aorist indicative. And then the apodosis, we have the aorist indicative plus on. So this must be a past contrafactual conditional relative sentence. Okay. A couple of other things to note. Here we have the aorist middle of grapho. And remember, the middle of grapho can mean indict, and then it can take one accusative of the person who's being indicted, and then this internal or cognate accusative to indict someone on a charge, and then a genitive of the charge. So to indict that guy on a charge of theft. And you actually don't need this grapheme. We could leave that out and it would still mean the same thing. All right, so we have a past contrafactual sentence. Let's go. So who, let me tell you. Let's do it like it's not a relative clause first. If he had stolen the gold shamefully, let me tell you, then the citizens would have indicted that guy on a charge of theft. So let's see if we can get it with the relative clause in English. The citizens would have indicted that guy on a charge of theft. That guy who had stolen the gold shamefully, let me tell you. The citizens would have indicted that guy who had stolen the gold shamefully, let me tell you, on a charge of theft. And that's our last one.